After 30 years in corporate, I think I have earned the right to take a step back, do the things that I enjoy. And so I decided that it's time to make a change, try something completely different, entrepreneurial. And I think you know that entrepreneurship is completely different from corporate world. And I realized that my last role as a CEO of the bank was very joyous for me because it is all about the people and the teams. I had really a good by design strategy and implementation of utilizing all the soft skills and the technical skills, hard skills, to get the teams together to build a culture where everybody wants to succeed. And I realized, yes, this is absolutely what I want to do. I want to focus on transformational leadership. I want to focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. I want to focus on ESG, sustainability, to build commercially successful businesses. So whether I do that as on my own time or as advisory or sitting on boards, or even just coaching, mentorship, it gives me a lot of joy.
Welcome back to Unlock Potential. I'm David Archibald, and I'm so glad you're with me today. Now, I'm honored to sit down with a truly inspiring leader, Michele Wee. She's the founder and CEO of Who Says I Can't, a company focused on enterprise, leadership, female empowerment, DEI, and transformational leadership. Michele has built and led dream teams across multiple countries, and she is passionate about helping other people believe in their potential, even when the world is telling them otherwise. So I've been looking forward to this one because Michele's story is one of courage, care, and building others up, which is exactly what we talk about here. This conversation you won't want to miss at all. Now let's dive in. Thank you very much for coming today, Michele. I'm honored to have you here on Unlock Potential. And I want to just get right down to it. Why did you go from a CEO position at a great company to starting your own project, and Who Says I Can't? I think everybody wants to know why. Take us through that.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me here today. It's a pleasure. But first of all, can you answer me a question?
Sure.
Do you like the name? Who Says I Can't?
It automatically tells you basically that it's like the underdog, right? Or somebody is like, and I think everybody deep down roots for the underdogs also, right? So I get it, but I don't understand it.
Okay.
Help me.
Okay. Well, having left corporate after 30 years, I think the tenor of being in corporate had a lot to do with it. I did feel that I had accomplished a lot during the 30 years, growing from strength to strength in different parts of financial markets. When the opportunity came last year, actually quarter four of last year, to either move back to Singapore to continue working in the bank or to do something completely different, I decided that I should be brave and do something different. And therefore, I also decided to choose this name because I wanted it to be a reminder to me. It's very personal. And as you mentioned, it does sound very much like an underdog kind of name. But also, I think it is a very good reminder that I need to be courageous and I need to be brave. To be brave to try something different. So we know that mindsets are the catalyst of change. But action is really the connector.
That's right.
So if I take action, there can be change. Now, I cannot guarantee, and there are no guarantees that change would be successful. However, I think that the outcome might just surprise me. And so I decided that it's time to make a change. try something completely different, entrepreneurial, and I think you know that entrepreneurship is completely different from, corporate world. But having said that, corporate world now is requiring a lot more entrepreneurship to survive in these volatile markets. So in a way, I have been preparing, I guess, for the day where I want to take my turn at trying at something entrepreneurial. So here I am, still finding my feet. The company is up and running, and I've been having many, many conversations on multiple fronts, and ready to, get going and work on things that really excite me.
Yeah, it's awesome. I don't understand exactly what you're doing, but I know what you're doing is you're helping other people. And that's what leadership's about. That's the whole thing. When you move from, into a leadership role, it becomes someone else, not about you. So who are you looking to help?
Well, I'm definitely not looking for perfection. I'm just looking for consistency and direction. And you're right. I spent probably the last 10 years trying to define my North Star and what really drives me and what is my purpose and vision. What do I really feel very strongly about and want to continue to push forward in that direction? And it's always the human capital, the people, humanity. And I realized that my last role as a CEO of the bank was very joyous for me because it is all about the people and the teams.
Yeah.
We look after the people and the teams, and they make it happen.
That's right. They win.
Right? Yeah. If they win, we win.
That's right.
It's not about the KPIs. It's about really, supporting our people that enable the KPIs to happen.
That's right.
And so I had really a good by design strategy and implementation of utilizing all the soft skills and the technical skills, hard skills, to get the teams together to build a culture where everybody wants to succeed.
Yeah.
And that was an amazing,
that's awesome,
outcome for me. And I realized, yes, this is absolutely what I want to do. I want to focus on transformational leadership. I want to focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. I want to focus on ESG, sustainability, to build commercially successful businesses. So whether I do that as on my own time or as advisory, or sitting on boards, or even just coaching, mentorship. I talk to a lot of people, I freely share my perspectives. It gives me a lot of joy.
Yeah.
So that is what I am focusing on, and I want to. But clearly, we all know that bills have to be paid. So it's finding the right balance between doing what you love so much and also having a commercial lens to it.
That's right.
So that's where I am.
Yeah, it's hard to get that Rubik's Cube to click right, perfect. It takes time.
It takes time, and thankfully, I do have the time. After 30 years in corporate, I think I have earned the right to take a step back, do the things that I enjoy, and hopefully I would be able to find a completely new career path that will last me for the next, I guess, maybe the rest of my.
For sure. I think with modern medicine, we're all going to live a little bit longer, and to be just working 30 years is not enough, I don't think, anymore. But
we have to start. We have to now restructure all our investment portfolios.
That's right.
Given market volatility.
Yeah, exactly. You can't save $1 million and live off $1 million anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Take me back to when you first realized you were a leader. Like what were you doing? What was your job? And now you're responsible for somebody else.
There are three big skill sets. The first, when you join an organization, right? And let me explain the three big skill sets. One is you grow self, you grow your institution, and you grow others. These are the three big buckets. So when we are junior and we first join an organization, they always tell you continuous learning, don't ever stop asking questions. You gotta keep growing. So we are growing self. So we are learning, and usually that journey it depends on who you are. It takes different time frames for that. So you grow self. And when you get relatively senior, you are basically, you become one of the key people that helps to grow institutions, right?
That's right.
And hopefully within that journey, you would get a position of responsibility that allows you to then pass on the good values and the right attitude to the people that you work with and who report to you as a middle manager. So you grow institution together and you get some kind of leadership responsibilities. I think the real pivotal shift is when you shift your mindset to say, I need to grow others so that I can grow.
Yeah.
Right? When the bench strength lifts, the whole organization lifts. And I think that is a very scary moment for somebody to cross over. Because imagine you are now managing people, you don't have direct P&L under your name. How do you justify your value?
Yeah.
So that shift is very difficult. I recall I spent a good amount of time, I would say 10 years ago. I've always been a product leader in my institution. And so it was always grow self, grow institution. The opportunity came when I was asked to head up the dealing room that basically was just somebody that looked after the entire platform, but you don't have any direct reports or P&L to your name. And that's a very scary space.
Yeah.
But I decided that I would take that opportunity because it would allow me to expand my soft skills, my experiences, my technical skills as well, because it's then now cross-product rather than single product. So it's horizontal rather than vertical. So I thought that was super, super exciting for me to grow to my next level. And when you are put in that position where you probably know the least of somebody sitting in that seat because he's an SME and you are not.
Yeah.
Why do they need to respect you? And why do they need to tell you anything? Even though on paper, you are the most senior person, right? In the dealing room to the eyes of the regulator. And so at that point, you start to think about and really employ all your skill sets to think about how am I going to harness everything that I've learned so that I can create the environment that showcases my ability to help you grow, and I want you to grow so that I can grow and be recognized and be credited for the whole organization growing.
Yeah.
So I started the journey from there, and it was very scary because I spent at least the first 2 years in that role completely in discomfort. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Every day was like, oh my gosh. Right? Am I doing the right thing? I have no idea. And I got help. I think it's very important to recognize too, especially as you're moving up the corporate ladder, that you do need help. Whether it's in a form of coaching, a mentorship, a partner that you can talk to, right? A family that is supportive. We all need that. So I got myself some help. I got a executive coach who has now become a life coach, and we still have that relationship. So somebody to talk to, somebody to help me through my. I was probably the most insecure.
Wow, I wouldn't accept that. I wouldn't believe that.
Totally insecure. But I got through it. And it taught me so much.
Wow,
but also because I took that brief step, the action, I got the opportunity to then come to Vietnam as the country CEO, and which was a huge step up because another learning opportunity in a part of finance that I don't know anything about, and also to be able to get involved in every part of a banking business, and looking after a very big team was very exciting. So here I am.
And new
4 years
culture,
later.
government regulations.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, the learning curve, steep. But because I took that brave step 10 years ago to make that shift, it wasn't as scary as the first time.
Yeah. That's, you build resiliency.
You do.
Yeah, and then you can handle something harder next time, and you can handle it harder next time. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I've stepped out of corporate into entrepreneurship. It's not that scary. I think what I have to control myself is I'm having too much fun. I'm having too much fun. Maybe I'm thinking I should be working a lot harder. A lot harder, but I've decided that I do deserve a break.
Yeah.
It's only been 5 months.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe I should take it easy and have a bit of fun.
I want to touch back on a couple things you said. One of the things that really, for me, I want to try to help people unlock their potential, right? And I think there's so many people, my staff included, I see more in them than they see in themselves. And I think it's really important. So I want to touch back a little bit when you talk about how you grow to the next level, right? And I think a lot of people assume that they're going to get promoted to a job, then they're going to learn what that job is.
Yeah.
So how important is it to be really actively trying to grow towards your dream job, per se?
As an individual?
Yeah.
I like your point, which says once I get the role, I would assume the role. Then I would step up. But actually, we all know that's completely the opposite.
That's right.
You have to be someone that management sees or leadership sees that you are performing at that level. And when the opportunity comes, of course it must go to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a mindset shift.
Yes.
Because not everybody is willing to fork out the investment of time and energy to get themselves there.
That's right.
Now, how do we encourage these people? I would say there's nothing better than a leader like yourselves who can see someone's potential and take a personal interest in mentoring them or coaching them. Having a conversation would often spark or bring something to them that they've never thought about. So I think the personal touch from a significant leader is probably one of the most impactful.
That's good. I think a lot of times people get criticism from their boss. Their boss is actually trying to help them, but they take it so wrong, and then they just give up so easily. I feel that. In one time, I don't know, about a year ago, I was reading something on the news, and they were talking about bad bosses. And, I got this toxic boss, and, this and that. And I started thinking about, I had a bad boss one time too. And then I thought for a second, so wait a minute. That guy cared about me, actually. he was pushing me to get better. And the guy, I think, oh, that was my good boss. He was lazy. He didn't push me at all. And light clicked on for me. It's like, you know what, man?
Yeah.
And I think people just give up too early. That, it's you have to go through some tough times to be better, to be able to handle the responsibility, to grow into the next role. And the first time they get a little bit of resistance, man, we got to go. This toxic boss, I'm going to move jobs. How does somebody be able to just stick through it?
Well, I would say that the environment that leadership creates in an environment, right? So the culture is very important. If you as a leader are aware that we need to create psychological safety, so that's a very popular word for
you can fail and you're not going to get killed for it, basically.
And encourages people to try. That's what we need to see, right? People to try, and if they fail, don't give up and try again. As long as you don't sink the organization, we try. But we also have to meaningfully put that into action, right? We can't say it. People need to see that it is true.
That's right.
That they can fail and mistakes can be made. There will be consequences, but after the consequence period, there is an opportunity to get back up again.
That's right.
And people can see that. When people can see things happening, then they start to believe that they can do more.
No, that's right.
And that's not scary. It's not scary, and things do happen. But you also asked a very important question, that they give up so easily. So we do need to be able to identify individuals who just do give up easily and really don't want to try, or people that just afraid to try for whatever reason, but they are certainly capable. So organizations have to be able to identify talent like that. Of course, not everybody works out in an organization.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? But we need to give them enough, time to develop, or to, to try, and we coach and we nurture and we guide. But at some point of time, I think the organization would know if somebody would succeed or not, whether it's the environment or it's the person.
That's right.
Which doesn't fit the culture.
That's right.
In which case, then I think it's right that both should disconnect so that there's an opportunity for somebody else. So it's always a balance, and there is a generic playbook for HR or what we do. But really, I think you need that human touch and the understanding and the oversight to really make good decisions.
That's right.
And when your organization gets bigger and bigger, it gets harder and harder to be able to know everybody.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The same. So I guess as you're building organizations, your partners in HR, right, your top team, and then your one downs from your top team, the infusion of that culture from top down is very important. We should all be singing from the same hymn sheet.
That's right.
And it all starts from the leader who meaningfully demonstrates and role models, right? And that's one of my favorite is role models, the behavior that you want seen in the organization.
Yeah.
And when people can see, I've also said this, it's easier to copy good behavior.
People do what people see.
Yes. Right.
Or my mom would say, monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, geez, that's really good. How many direct reports do you think someone could actually handle properly? Especially in the large organization like you had, where do you think the cutoff is before you're not really probably doing a good job at it?
Well, when I was in my last role, I had 14 in my top team.
Yeah.
Right. But the matrix organization is slightly different. They had hard reporting lines, and the matrix was a team that basically sat together as the country team to make decisions. Was 14, 14 is not small. Is it too big? Not really, because every part of the organization had to be covered. But let's say if you start duplicating, right, and having two people at the table from one department, that's almost too big.
Yeah.
So that means that the person at the table, the original person at the table, either is not focusing or delegating too much, right? Then, because there should be one person who understands their business and actually have skin in the game at the table.
Correct.
Because otherwise, why are you at the table?
That's right.
You don't need a backup. So I was quite happy with, with the number 14 of us around the table. So I don't know. It really depends on your organization.
And how you handle it. I mean, there's people that want to micromanage and, then 14 might be way too many where, if you're more of a visionary, 14 is probably easy.
Yeah, there are a lot of micromanagers though. So they put a lot of pressure on themselves. And I'm not sure that is the right culture for a growing organization, because I'm not sure. I'm sure things do fall between the cracks.
Yeah, for sure.
When the organization goes large, right? And you don't have weekends, and I'm not sure that's good for anybody's well-being or mental health.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What was one of the main things that you noticed was different culture-wise coming to Vietnam from Singapore? Like as a leader, you had to. What was something that you went, whoa, okay, I gotta change the way I do this.
So I remember, I came for my first country management meeting. So I started talking. And then I took a pause and I said, what do you think? Can I hear some views? Silence.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, I think I'm in trouble because I'm the least informed person at this table in a new market, in a position of strength. And if I don't get feedback and input from local culture with deep understanding of the markets, I'm going to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
And so from that, I said, okay, guys, I was very transparent. I said, I cannot do this alone. You know more than me. You have to share. And this is from the top team. Okay? We had probably at that time 50-50 local versus foreign.
Oh, okay.
But it was still very quiet. So that was the biggest shock to me because I came from Singapore country team and everyone.
Everybody had an opinion.
Everybody, had a say, right? And so that was something that I knew I had to change really quick. And it did change. The other thing I noticed was everyone's afraid to upset anyone else. It's a nice culture.
Yes. Yes, I totally agree with that.
I don't want to say anything because I respect you. You're my chi. Right?
Yes.
Or, the honorifics are there and they're very respectful. It's fantastic and I love it. Okay? But in an organization, you almost need someone to really give constructive feedback and share your opinion so we all can collectively get better and make better decisions. So when somebody tells me, oh, I trust whatever the person says, I always try and get to the root of it because I'm not sure that that's a correct mindset.
That's right.
Right? So they don't want to upset each other because of family relations, because, of long relationship, etc., which doesn't bode well sometimes for the organization. So that had to also be changed. But then we have to take a step back and say, feedback is good, but it has to be constructive.
Sure. Yeah,
So then that starts a whole new chain of education on how to give and communicate effectively.
That's right.
So you start with all these challenges, and then you have to put in and work with your partners. Like HR is very important to then come up with what needs to be done in order to have and address the challenges in the organization.
Yeah, I would tell somebody to do something and then come back and it's still not done, and then I come back again, it's still not done, and I would, after about the fifth time, I'm like, I had to have somebody come in behind me in Vietnamese. Finally, it's like, okay, they say I understand you, but they don't really understand you, and I always felt that if someone came up to me and said, "Hey, boss, I don't quite understand that," oh man, I was like, wow, this person's awesome. I really liked it because they were brave enough to tell me they didn't understand. Or most people just go, yes, yeah, okay, yeah, and that was one of my major things is, I knew I wasn't good enough at their language, and I just assumed, yeah, they probably understand me. But they didn't really understand me.
Well, that too. I think that's also very important. So I actually have a lot of patience. I can actually repeat something for years because organizations don't change that fast.
Sure.
So I can repeat and repeat and repeat for years.
Well, you have
and be very consistent in my.
You have teenage boys. You've been saying that for a long time. You have to repeat everything.
Oh yeah, you repeat from young, and it does get in.
Oh, for sure.
At some point.
Yes. Well, I think that when you're a leader, you really want to help other people, and so yeah, I'm okay with it. Like I would tell people, hey, I'll tell you 10 times. I'll repeat it because I'm the foreigner here. I don't know Vietnamese that well. How do I expect you just to know English that well also? So yeah, that's really good. I talk about unlocked potential, and that's something that I really want to make a big point about that. And how do you think people can unlock their own potential? Like how does that person recognize that they're better than they are, potentially better?
I think confidence is a lot to do with it, and also culture, family pressure, and your needs.
Yes.
So if you don't have the ability or the flexibility and you need that paycheck, I think you're in a very different space.
Yeah.
For somebody who family's well-to-do, and
right.
If I don't like the job, I'm going to resign, go back to school, or find another job.
Yeah.
Then there's the environment, because Vietnam is a hot market, right? Outside of COVID and outside of now, the volatile times, with what's going on in global markets, I think it was very easy for someone to get a new job tomorrow.
Oh, for sure.
Right? But it's a different environment now. So we're seeing probably the transition or people leaving slowing down quite significantly.
Oh, for sure. In my business also. That's very, very true.
Yeah. So putting that aside, confidence, I come back to again. But I want to encourage everybody to think about what you deserve and the environment or the situation in which you put yourself in. And I think that if you're working for a bad boss, despite your environment or your personal circumstance, that's not a good position to be in, because a bad boss, you will never get anywhere and you'll just be really very upset every day. Right? So I think it's important that if we're ever in any bad situation, that we should look for people to support us, to either have a conversation, so mentorship, coaching, or even somebody that's, more senior than you who can, give you advice or, look for
Blind spot detector.
absolutely, and therefore you have that support system around you to help you make better decisions.
Yeah.
But I would never encourage somebody to stay in an organization that is toxic, work for a boss who is old school, right? Because you would never get the opportunities and you will never unlock your potential. That is a fact. So there has to be a certain amount of ownership in helping yourself, right, get the opportunity that you deserve.
That's right.
So it cannot be only when you join an organization, it's the organization's responsibility to unlock your potential.
That's right. That's right.
It doesn't work that way. We wish. If it was a huge organization, then you almost have no chance.
That's right.
Right? If it's smaller, maybe you have a chance. But if you have a bad boss or toxic environment, you have no chance again. So you have to take accountability and ownership of your own career and take yourself out of that situation.
Yes.
But that requires courage.
Yes.
Right? And that one is really a mindset shift.
Correct. Now, I think the absolute key of what you just said was accountability. It's like, everyone knows what they're supposed to do. They just don't hold themselves accountable to do it usually. They know, hey, I need to study this. I got to lose 20 kilos, but they never hold themselves accountable
for it.
Well, then
no action, no change. I think that's something that I mentioned already as running.
Yeah.
No action, no change. It's not going to happen.
That's right. That's right.
You could think everything you want. You would be like, okay, you can talk. And so that's really the difference for people who make changes and people who don't.
Good intentions are pretty worthless. Nothing's happening.
Yeah.
For sure. When you look at your 14 direct reports and you look back and say, what were some of the ways that you maybe guided or mentored somebody into building up some resilience so they can handle something bigger in the future?
Well, I think at that level, because they're all senior around the table, right? You just have to be very clear with the communication. But the delivery is very important because clearly everybody around the table, whether they're senior, they could be older than you, you are a new person, you have to respect. I respect all my colleagues. I respect them for the fact that they are at the table. So I need to make sure that I communicate it in a very respectful manner. But at the same time, there's a job to be done. So there's no kids' gloves, right?
Yes, right.
The kids' gloves are off. Especially, in the bull, I guess in good times, we don't have to talk about difficult things.
No.
It's just about how much money you're making and what are we projecting? Oh yeah, year-on-year number, check. Everything is great. It's when it's challenging, then you can see that, gosh, we need to have many difficult conversations.
Yes.
Right? But the way that you communicate, it has to be brutally honest, authentic, right? I would say to a certain extent, also sharing the troubles or the iceberg that is there that you can see and we know we can see, making sure that everybody understands the iceberg, the worst case scenario, and we all make sure we prepare and we are focused and we're working towards not ramping into that iceberg, right, as the ship sails forward together. So we must have a shared purpose. And that has to be communicated very clearly by the top leader,
Yes.
by the most senior person, right? Again and again with consistency and direction.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to work for somebody that flip-flops. Okay? Taco trade?
Yes.
Yes, nobody wants to work for flip-floppers. It's very hard to navigate the environment. So a good leader is somebody who can clearly communicate, respectfully communicate, the direction with consistency, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody at least understands. And you have a different characters, which you have to manage on a one-to-one basis. So it's not everything collective. Collective, same messaging, everybody discuss the collective. Then, of course, you have to have your one-on-one follow-ups.
Yes, yes.
Because everybody thinks differently.
That's
like
right.
you say,
That's right.
not everybody understands it. So you have to check the understanding and be able to then communicate the same messaging in the way that they can accept and understand. And that is our jobs.
I hear you.
It's not magic.
That's right. A real good leader or a true somebody that's responsible for a company really needs to see things before others see it. They have to have that. And then they have to be able to really give vision. I mean, those are two things that, like, especially for a really big, company, like, you were leading, being able to see before others. How do you recognize patterns? How do you spend time looking at patterns? I think in the banking industry, there's a lot of patterns and also in
Patterns in human behavior.
patterns in anything. Like, how do we see the progression of technology and we see patterns. We saw the fax machine come and go, email, we see these different patterns. Is there a way that you might try to look at? How do you see before others see?
Well, finance is the bedrock of society, of any economy.
Sure.
So I would like to say that we should be the most informed or the
Predicting, yes.
Predicting what's happening to the economies and where the trade flows are, because we're all about the I guess buy low, sell high, very easy concept.
Sure.
Right? And where the future trends are. So we do have armies of people and people that look at markets and where the trends are, that help us, to make the right decisions. But also at the same time, I would say that we need to personally be accountable. Make sure we have our networks. We are piped in to what's going on local because we are in charge locally.
That's right.
We need to give the correct feedback into the opportunities that we see.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, banking industry is very regulated. Now, there are many industries that are also very heavily regulated. So having good pipes into regulation, right? Understanding what's coming. Also speaking to industry participants, making sure you're also connecting with clients. Very important because clients give you so much signals. Like you can't sell them something that they're not interested in.
That's right, yes.
Right? But also there's the same amount of education that you have to give clients on what's the potential. And at some point of time, with our experience, with good information and research, we can come up with something that makes sense for the local market.
Yeah.
Okay, but also if you look at the way the world works, the US is normally far ahead of everybody. Mm-hmm. Then comes, Europe, and then it's everybody else, right? And we are normally about 6 months to 12 months behind what's going on in the West. Mm-hmm. So the trends are there. It's how do we implement that locally and the education that we need to get everybody there.
Yeah.
So it's not that difficult. It's just that it's a lot of work. And And with all the information that is out there on social media, content, I think it's pretty easy to spot these trends much faster.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, if you have a very slow organization, heavy organization that's not agile, then you get left behind. So I think that's something that we have to think about as well. How to be agile. And we talk about agile organizations, future workplace.
Yes.
New ways of working. That's very critical.
Oh,
not everybody can pivot that fast.
Yeah. I think realizing you're a leader and you need to see before others see, first off, you really have to start looking, because if you start looking, maybe you can, do a better job of doing that. And if we look at AI right now, and I think that even 6 months from now, we're going to look back and go, oh my gosh, we were still not even expecting what's going to happen. And then, I think we really hit the point where we're just going to go straight up now for the speed of how things are changing.
I think everybody loves AI for its efficiency and productivity. Nobody can deny that. We already see the amazing impact of AI, right? But at the same time, I think that needs to be a balance. Humans control AI.
Correct, yes.
So at what point does it ever flip over where we are being controlled? Then the other part that I think about is humanity and AI's impact to humanity in terms of the social impact, jobs lost, and how do we ensure that everybody has a job? I mean, the population is, 8 billion now? It's going up, even though many countries are slowing down, but it's still going up.
Yes, yeah.
The trend is going up. So how do we put people in jobs?
Yes.
So how are we going to feed, people? Because all I see now is AI, human on the top, AI.
Yes,
AI,
right.
AI. Right? There was something on LinkedIn. I was looking at it. I'm like, okay. I understand it's very important, and you and I are realizing. I mean, we use it, right, for many things. So much easier now. Now searching is so easy. You have information at your fingertips. You are so much more informed, and you can actually see trends faster.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yes.
But what's going to happen in 5, 10, 15, 20 years? No one can predict.
That's right.
But so how the people in leadership are the ones that need to be responsible or really thinking about what do we do with the rest of the jobs, the roles,
That's right.
So I'm told not to worry too much, because humans always find a way to adapt.
They're undefeated. Humans are undefeated.
There's always jobs, but there's just different jobs.
That's right.
And I guess, I mean, you've got a new baby.
Yeah.
I've got teenage boys. If you ask me now, what job are they going to do? I cannot tell you.
Correct, yes.
I have no idea.
That's right.
And I think for your baby, what are you going to do?
I jokingly say he's going to fight robots someday, but, the more I joke about that, the more I think it might be true.
Oh, I always joke with my sons. I said influencer.
Yeah.
Just be an influencer.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's it.
Well, now
you're one man.
Now you can be a one-man show. You can make your own avatar person and make the video and do everything and not be that person. It's happening. I think that we're going to have to reach a point where these solopreneur, companies that are going to make billions of dollars have to be taxed at some ridiculous amount in order to generate the money to pay for the people that aren't going to actually work. And then there's going to be a really big problem with having any type of purpose in your life. It's going to be like, wow, it's going to be a big issue, I think. There's no purpose to go to work. There's no purpose to do this. And, oh, man.
So people then withdraw into you. Did you watch the movie Ready Player One?
No, I think so. Maybe it's
older,
right?
They're into virtual reality.
That's right.
In VR, so everyone puts on a headset and then they go into.
That's right. Yeah.
And they do nothing but sit the whole day. But it used to be there was I mean, you get office jobs, you can't, then you go into, you know, the transport business, and now they're self-driving cars. Like you
Correct.
even
That's right.
drive
That's
a
right.
Grab.
That's right. Yeah, that's going to be gone too. That's right.
So I wonder, you know, yeah. So we need to think about these things, but I don't think it's something that we need to talk about.
Yeah, I know for sure.
We can have that on a one-on-one.
Exactly. Now, when we talk about people need to grow into the next level or grow into their next job, what are some things that you did, you know, personal habits or something like that that allowed you to help grow? When you're a mom, you have two boys, they need constant care. And how did you handle growing yourself in that time?
First of all, I think I've never shied away from hard work. So I'm like a workhorse.
Okay.
I actually enjoy working a lot. So I think hard work cannot be replaced. Yeah. So we say work smart, but there's also time that you need to put into any effort.
Yes.
So, but I can tell you, I got my kids very close together. I didn't realize how much hard work it was going to be. I think I almost killed myself. You know, new mom, new job, new role, bigger role, new organization. It was too much. So I think, looking back, I would tell everybody, or my advice is, know where your boundaries are. What is too much? Because too much can kill you.
Yeah.
And it could also go wrong.
True.
I was just lucky, I think, that I managed to pull out of the too much and come out on the positive end of it. But you need to work hard, for sure. You need to also, I think, if you have priorities, you need to know what they are. So then you pivot. Sometimes it's family. I mean, from a woman's perspective, we are the glue of basically the family.
Yes.
We work, we are primary caregivers, you know, we take care of the family, etc. You know, the woman's role, right? It hasn't changed that much. I'm surprised.
Yeah. In Vietnam, I really is like shocking to me.
They are
I mean, it is.
They are amazing.
I don't know how they do it. They are excellent staff. They give 100% effort here, and they got to go home and do the same thing after work. It is pretty amazing.
Vietnamese women, amazing. I would say Asian women, amazing. Maybe women all over the world. They are really the glue, you know, that keeps everything together. So I want to encourage females and also the males to understand where your pivots, because the world's changing really quickly, right? And we need, I mean, with now the new awareness on mental health and the pitfalls of negative mental health, it's still not talked about enough. You know, COVID, it did accelerate the conversation, and then now it's almost like post-COVID, everyone's gone back to BAU mode.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, so be aware of the pivots, because you can throttle or ease up at the right time that suits you. You know, I think that's also
that's right.
very, very important. And then I think finally, you need to start thinking, or we all need to start thinking about what is it we want. And I think I've said this before as well, is success changes with experience,
yes,
with mindset, and with time. What I wanted 30 years ago when I first started out is completely different from what I want today.
That's right.
And that impacts and permeates all through my life, and in the decisions that I make, in the things that I do. Right? So do take a step back and reflect on what that means for you at this point. And it doesn't mean you cannot change your mind. But I think it's quite important that we all reflect on what it is that we want and we want to achieve, and then we go for it.
Yeah, that's great.
So some clarity, at least,
Right.
and also with that understanding of your vision and purpose, I think your trajectory and your direction of travel is consistent. You're always pushing in the right direction.
Yeah.
Right? There will be forks in the road,
Mhm.
and you could meander, and it's not a straight line. It never is a straight line.
Right.
And we have forks in the road, but ultimately, I think we come back to the same path.
That's right. Yeah, that's
If,
really
if we are consciously thinking about it.
Yeah.
Now, I learned this very late in life, right? I mean, the first 15 years, I was bang, 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 but always the thing that saved me was I really kept at the job that I was doing and in the same trajectory. It was a bit like that, but always the same trajectory. And so I was able to move from strength to strength, right, up the corporate ladder, which was probably what saved me.
Yeah, that's good.
And hard work.
Yeah. Yeah. Hard work's important.
Oh.
Now, I want to ask you something that, what would you tell your younger self? And I'm thinking in the fact of these, 30-year-old, moms that are working in companies now here in Vietnam. What would you tell your younger self going back now? Because you've been a very successful businesswoman and a mom. And I think the mom is the hardest job in the world. I truly believe. I think that's like the hardest job. But after, what would you tell yourself differently? Like, what would you say? Hey, this wasn't a problem. This wasn't that big a deal. And then maybe, hey, you know what? You should have maybe done this instead.
I don't. I always push forward, and I don't regret anything that I've done. But there's only one thing that I really should have done better. And that is I should have really sorted out my sleeping problems. Sleep is so important.
Yes.
I have not slept well since my children were born. And my eldest is 17 years old. Then you factor in 9 months before that when you are carrying.
Yes.
And I think that has really taken a toll on my body. I don't realize it because when we are in autopilot mode, you don't realize what it does to your body. Right? And so I would definitely say that if I had realized the importance of sleep much earlier, I think it would have benefited me health-wise.
Oh, for sure.
They
say if you could bottle sleep and put it into a drug, it'd be the most beneficial drug known to man. It's that
True,
beneficial.
but you know how many of us actually sacrifice it?
When you became a mom, your sleep changed. Was that because you have this internal, I got to make sure everything's okay?
Oh, totally. And I nurse my children myself.
That was a, hey, protection mode. I'm mom. I got to protect them.
And I wake up every morning, 6 o'clock, right?
Well, they're out.
Straight to work.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Work, right? And then come back, and I would look after the children myself at night. Through the night, even though I had 3 helpers.
Yes.
Because we overcompensate. I was just probably feeling guilt about not being with the child during the day when they were young.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that guilty feeling, now that you remind me, the guilty feeling lasted 5-6 years of their early life. And that was not a fun feeling. So I overcompensate. So the only thing that got sacrificed was sleep.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, a lot of us sacrifice our sleep. I'm much better now because I do realize after I got sick that, hey, I think sleep has a lot to do with it. So now I am very conscious to try and get better sleep. And that means changing my lifestyle, exercise more, the food we eat, caffeine. I think they all plays a part. But it's different for different people.
Sure.
But you have to sit back and just think about, what. Yeah, you just listen to people's perspectives and then just reflect.
I think ask for help too. I mean, it's like even if it's just to talk to somebody about it and to get it off your chest and not burden that stress and that pressure. That's kind of what I see in, my staff that are moms, and I feel it. I know, I'm like, I think that it boils down to, we have wisdom. Now we've lived through it. Now we have the wisdom to look back at it and say, wow, that.
So, interestingly, I think there's also a lot that we don't know because people are very good at hiding. And no matter what, they don't say.
That's right.
They don't say. And so you think as a leader, but we don't know half of it.
That's right.
So how do you create an environment where people really feel like they can bring their true selves to work? I mean, this is a work in progress for any culture. Nobody can say, I've got it right.
That's exactly right.
True. And
it changes every day.
Yeah, it changes every day. So we can only, I guess, as a leader with authenticity and I guess being human.
Yeah.
Try and portray that people feel comfortable, and slowly you'll see them come out of the shell and share, not with you maybe because you're too senior, but with colleagues, and then somehow it gets up to the chain and we can see how they can support.
That's right.
So as when I was running my organization, I had no issues with people leaving early, work from home, because I feel that you can, as long as you deliver your deadline.
That's right. Yeah, you get your job done. That's all
you
right.
get your job done. So I actually like the work from home and the flexibility that it provides to, people, so that they can balance a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
Mm.
What's the one piece of advice you would give that maybe up and coming leader that what they could do, what should they focus on if their dream is to be a CEO someday? What should they focus on?
Well, you have to learn. You have to keep learning. You have to keep broadening your experiences.
Mm-hmm.
A CEO's role or a senior leadership's role is a generalist.
Mm-hmm.
You can't know everything in depth, but you need to know enough to ask the right questions.
That's right.
Right? And you need to have a lot of soft skills, also technical skills to be able to flush out the right questions and also learn on the job.
That's right.
Everything is through osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
So always having a curious mind and asking questions should never leave you throughout your entire career.
Yeah, that's great.
Right.
I think people don't ask questions enough. I mean, their boss tells them something and they have 30 questions, but they just hold it in and then they assume, what were they thinking?
Yeah, but again, it's part culture, it's part environment, and so we have to
That's right.
help them to come out of.
Say, hey, it's okay to come ask me. That's right.
So that's the first point. The second point is when there's an opportunity, have the courage to take it. Right. The mindset is, who says I can't?
Yes. That's right.
Right. But it's easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on circumstances, I said earlier. So if you don't be afraid to ask somebody's opinion, right? Family, mentors, coaches, friends, to help you make better decisions. Yeah, don't go at it alone.
Yeah, that's important.
No matter who you are.
For sure.
And I think especially as you are senior. because the decisions we make have so much more repercussions.
Correct.
You know?
Well, that's
if
why
we don't ask.
Yes. That's why the peer group thing that, we're in helps a lot.
I agree.
And, I've learned a lot from you being in the same peer group with you. And it is super important.
So courage to make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. That's good.
Progress happens outside of the comfort zone.
That's right. Exactly.
For
sure.
I think that's a really popular saying.
But it's so true, though.
Yes.
It's incredibly true.
And then the last thing I would say is once you have become and you have achieved, okay? And achievement and success, as I mentioned, is different at every point of time.
Mm-hmm.
But once you've achieved, please don't forget to be accountable and feel personally accountable to give back.
Yes. That's right.
Pay it forward.
Yes.
Be the role model.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because that is your legacy.
That's right.
Whether it's in the organization or to the environment that you operate, to your family, right? Be the role model.
Yeah. No, that's for
and you know what? We'll all be better for humanity. Sure. And that's what I try and live by.
That's right. That's really good. Okay, last question.
Oh, okay.
Now, if someone you love or someone that you really care about finds this recording 30 years from now, all right? And what do you want to tell them on maybe how they could unlock their own potential? Or even if it's your boys, look over there and talk to your boys and say, they found Mom on this podcast. What do you want to say to them?
Well, my boys, oh gosh, they are 16 and 17 now. They've got lots to say. But I guess to them, I would say, Mommy has taught you, hopefully, and exemplified, hopefully, the kind of human beings that I want you to be. Right? Kind, humble, always achieving, always curious, and, doing the best that you can. And I think that is the most important. Not everyone can be a superstar. Not everybody is, a CEO. But as long as you are doing the best to your ability, I think that's success in itself. So don't beat yourself up, right? But do take time to reflect, to think, right? And just be a good, kind human being. That's what I like them to be.
That's awesome. And that's true. As a parent, that's exactly what I want for my kids too.
Kindness and empathy.
Absolutely.
Underrated.
Yeah. And good guys, finish last. I don't believe that at all. I think it's the opposite for sure.
No.
Yeah. I think
hopefully we'll be able to change because good guys can finish.
That's right. They should.
Yes.
And they will. And they do. Awesome. Thank you, Michele. I really, really appreciate you coming in today. This is great. Thank you.
It's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. That's it for today's episode of Unlock Potential. If this conversation inspired you, I'd love it if you could share it with someone that might need to hear this today. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss our next episode. And here's something to think about. This week, who are you helping unlock potential? When you help others unlock their potential, you unlock your own. Okay, see you next time.